filter basics. Filter basics. So what about filter basics? And using filters. How to use filters? By the way, you can use filters to clean up or retouch your photos and apply special art effects that give your image the appearance of a sketch of impressionistic painting, or create unique transformations using distortions and lighting effects. And the filters provided by Adobe appears in the filter menu, by the way. And some filters provided by a third-party developers are available, by the way, as plugins once installed. These plugins, by the way, filters appear at the bottom of the filter menu. And smart filters. By the way, smart filters applied to smart objects and lets you use filters non-destructively. And the smart filters, by the way, are stored as layer effects in the layers panel, and you can be readjusted at any time and working from the original image data contained in the smart object. For more information on smart filter effects and non-destructive editing, you have to see non-destructive editing now. And to use a filter, you have to choose the appropriate submenu command from the filter menu. These guidelines, by the way, can help you in choosing filters. And filters are applied, by the way, to the active and visible layer or a selection. And for 8 bytes per channel images, most filters, by the way, can be applied cumulatively through the filter gallery, and all filters can be applied individually. And filters cannot be, by the way, applied to bitmap, mood, or indexed color images. And some filters, by the way, work only on RGB images. And all filters can be applied to 8-byte images. And the following filters can be applied to 16-byte images, and lithography, and vanishing point, and average blur, and blur more, and box blur, and Gaussian blur, and lens blur, and motion blur, and radial blur, and surface blur, and shape blur, and lens correction, and add noise, and despickle and dust, and scratches, and medium, and reduced noise, and fibers, and clouds, and different clouds, and lens flare, and sharpen edges, and sharpen, and more, and smart sharpen, and unsharp mask, and impose, and defined edges, and solarize, and de-interlance, and NTSC, and colors, and custom high pass, and maximum and minimum, and offset. And by the way, the following filters can be applied to 16-byte images, and like lithography, and vanishing point, and average, and blur. Okay, so the following filters, by the way, can be applied to 32-bit images, and average blur, and box blur, and Gaussian blur, and motion blur, and radial blur, and shape blur, and surface blur, and noise, and clouds, and lens flare, and smart sharpness, and unsharp mask, and de-interlance, and NTSC colors, and impose, and high pass, and maximum, and minimum, and offset. And by the way, some filters are processed internally in RAM, and if you don't have enough available RAM to process a filter effect, you may get an error message. How to apply a filter from the filter menu? How to apply a filter from the filter menu? By the way, you can apply the filter to the active layer or to a smart object, and the filters applied to a smart object are non-destructive and can be readjusted at any time. And you have steps here now. Step number 1. To apply a filter to an entire layer, you should to make sure firstly the layer is active or selected successfully. And after that, to apply a filter to an area of a layer, you should select that area. And after that, to apply a filter non-destructively, so you can change your filter setting later, and then select the smart object that contains the image content you want to filter. Step number 2. You should choose a filter from the submenus in the filter menu, and if no dialog box appears, the filter, by the way, effect is applied. Step number 3. If a dialog box or the filter gallery appears, you should enter values or select options and then click OK. And applying filters, by the way, to large images can be time consuming, but you can preview the effect in the filter dialog box and then drag in the preview window to center a specific area of the image. And in some filters, by the way, you can click in the image to center it where you click, then click the or buttons. Click the plus or minus buttons under the preview window to zoom in or zoom out. And what about filter gallery overview? Filter gallery overview. By the way, the filter gallery provides a preview of many of the special effects filters, and you can also apply multiple filters, by the way, then turn on or turn off the effect of a filter and receipt options for a filter, and change the order in which filters are applied. And when you are satisfied with the preview, by the way, you can then apply it to your image. And not all filters, by the way, in the filter menu are available in the filter gallery. Like the next screenshot now. This image now explain for you. Filter gallery dialog box. And we have A and B and C and D and H and E and F and I. A is meaning preview and B is meaning filter category and C is meaning thumbnail of selected filter and D is meaning show or hide filter thumbnails and E is meaning filters pop-up menu and F options for selected filter and G list of filter effects to apply or arrange, and H is meaning filter effect selected but not applied, and I is meaning filter effects applied cumulatively but not selected, and G is meaning hidden filter effect. So what about display the filter gallery? How to display the filter gallery? You should choose filter firstly, then choose filter gallery, then select filter category, name display thumbnail of available filters, filter effects. And how to zoom in or zoom out of the preview. If you'd like to zoom in or zoom out of the preview, what should you do? You should to click the plus icon or minus icon firstly under the preview area, then choose a zoom percentage. And how to view another area of the preview? You should drag in the preview area firstly with the hand tool. And how to hide filter thumbnails. How to hide filter thumbnails. You should click the show or hide button at the top of the gallery. And how to apply filters from the filter gallery. How to apply filters from the filter gallery. By the way, filter effects are applied in the order you select them, and you can rearrange filters after you apply them by dragging a filter name to another position in the list of applied filters. And rearranging filter, by the way, effects can dramatically change the way your image looks. And then click the eye icon next to a filter to hide the effect in the preview image. And also you can delete applied filters by selecting the filter and clicking the delete layer icon. And to save time when trying various filters, experiment by selecting a small and representative part of your image. You should do one of the following. To apply a filter to an entire layer, you should to make sure that the layer is active or selected actually successfully. After that, to apply a filter to an area of a layer, you should select that area. After that, to apply a filter non-destructively, so you can change your filter setting later. Then select the smart object that contains the image content that you want to filter, by the way. Step number 2. Choose filter, then choose filter gallery. Step number 3. You should click a filter name to add the first filter, by the way, and after that you may need to click the inverted triangle next to the filter category to see the complete list of filters. And once added, the filters by the way appears in the applied filter list in the lower right corner of the filter gallery dialog box. Step number 4. You should enter values or select options for the filter you selected. Step number 5. To apply filters cumulatively, you should click the new effect layer icon and then choose additional filter to apply, and repeat this procedure to add more filters, by the way. And after that, to rearrange applied filters, you should drag the filter to a new position in the applied filter list in the lower right corner of the filter gallery dialog box. And after that, to remove applied filters, you should select a filter in the applied filter list and then click delete layer icon. Step number 6. When you are satisfied with the result, you should click OK. And how to blend and fade filter effects. How to blend and fade filter effects. By the way, the fade command changes the opacity and blending mode of any filter, by the way, and the painting tool and erasing tool or color adjustment. And the fade command blending modes are a subset of those in the painting and editing tools options, and excluding the behind and clear modes. And applying the fade command, by the way, is similar to applying the filter effect on a separate layer and then using the layer opacity and blending mode controls. Note and be careful please here now in this point. The fade command can also modify the effects of using the lithography command and brush strokes filters. We have steps. Step number 1. You should apply a filter firstly, then painting tool or color adjustment to an image or selection. Step number 2. You should choose edit, then choose fade, then select the preview option to preview the effect. Step number 3. Drag the slider to adjust the opacity from 0% transparent to 100%. After that, step number 4. You should choose a blending mode from the mode menu. And note and be careful please here now. The color dodge, color burn, and lighten, and darken, and difference, and exclusion, and blending modes don't work by the way on lab images. Step number 5. You should click OK. So what about tips? Tips for creating special effects. Tips for creating special effects. By the way, creating edge effects, you can use various techniques to create the edges of an effect applied to only part of an image and to leave a distance. Edge, simply apply the filter for a soft edge and feather the edge and then apply the filter for a transparent effect and then apply the filter and then use the fade command to adjust the selection's blending mode and opacity. So what about applying filters to layers? Applying filters to layers. By the way, you can apply filters to individual layers or to several layers in succession to build up an effect. And for a filter to affect a layer, by the way, the layer must be visible and must contain pixels. For example, a natural fill color. And what about applying filters to individual channels? Applying filters to individual channels is meaning that you can apply, by the way, a filter to an individual channel and then apply a different effect to each color channel, by the way, or apply the same filter but with different setting. And what about creating backgrounds? Creating backgrounds is meaning that by applying effects to solid color grayscale chips, you can generate, by the way, a variety of backgrounds and textures, and you might then blur these textures, and also some filters have little or no visible effect when applied to solid colors. And for example, glass others produce interesting effects. So what about combining multiple effects with masks or duplicate images? By the way, you can use masks to create selection areas, gives you more control over transitions from one effect to another. For example, you can filter the selection created with a mask, and you can also use the history brush tool to paint a filter effect onto a part of the image. And first, you should apply the filter to an entire image, and next step back in the history panel to the image state before the filter was applied, and set the history brush source to the filtered stage by clicking in the wheel at the left side of the history stage, then paint the image. And how to improve image quality and consistency. How to improve image quality and consistency. By the way, you can discuss faults, alter or enhance images, or create a relationship among images by applying the same effect to each. And you can use actions panel to record the steps you take to modify one image, by the way, and then apply this action to the other images. How to improve filter performance. By the way, some filter effects can be memory intensive, especially when applied to a high resolution image, and you can do any of the following to improve performance. You should try out filters and setting on a small portion of an image firstly. After that, you should apply an effect to individual channels, for example to each RGB channel if the image is large and you are having problems with insufficient memory. With some filters, effects vary if applied to the individual channel rather than the composite channel, and especially if the filter randomly modifies pixels. After that, free up memory before running the filter by using the purge command. And after that, allocate more RAM to Photoshop if necessary. Exit other applications to make more memory available to Photoshop. After that, try changing setting to improve the speed of memory. Intensive filters such as lighting effects and cutout and stained glass and chrome and ripple and spatter and sprite strokes and glass filters. For example, with the stained glass filter, increase cell size. With the cutout filter, increase edge simplicity. Simplicity decrease edge fidelity, or both. And if you plan to print to a grayscale printer, you should convert a copy of the image to grayscale before applying filters, by the way. However, applying a filter to a color image and then converting to grayscale may not have the same effect, by the way, as applying the filter to a grayscale version of the image.